What is the degree measure of the acute angle formed by the hands of the 12-hour clock that reads exactly 2 o'clock? Well, a clock is a circle, and if it reads 2 o'clock, it's a little something like this. Clock starts at 12, and it has numbers dividing it like so. 12 parts to the clock. Complete circle is 360 degrees. We are using 2 of those positions from 12 to 2. We're using 2 of those out of a total of 12. So this question's asking you, what is 2/12 of 360? Or another way to say it is 1/6 of 360. Or another way to say it, what is 360 divided by 6? Which is 60 degrees. This is 60 degrees. What is the probability that the number selected at random from this set of numbers will be divisible by both 2 and 3? If you can divide it by both 2 and 3, that means you can divide it by 6 if you multiply 2 and 3 together. Let's see which of these numbers you can divide by 6 evenly. You can divide 6 by 6, 12 by 6, 72 by 6, and 108 by 6. So of those numbers, once again, the probability you can divide it by 6, which is dividing it by 2 and dividing it by 3. Take the number of favorable outcomes, those are the 4 circled numbers, divided by the total outcomes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Put that in a calculator. That is 0.44 repeating, which is 44% approximately. So the probability, 44%, or 0.44, or 4/9, depending on which choices you have for answers. A circle has a circumference of 9 pi feet. Circumference is the perimeter of a circle. So the circumference is 9 pi. What is the radius of the circle in feet? The formula for circumference is 2 pi times r. If we know that c is 9 pi, we can substitute it in. To get r by itself, divide both sides by 2 pi. Pi's cancel, so that makes r 9 divided by 2, which is 4.5, and then we are measuring in feet, so 4.5 feet. A rectangle with a perimeter of 60 centimeters is 3 times as long as it is wide. A rectangle. Let's say this is the width. Width is W. It says that it's 3 times as long as it is wide. So whatever the width is, the length is 3 times that. So we got width, and we have length and length. It says the perimeter, if you will, is 60. Perimeter means you add up the lengths of all the sides. So if we add up all these lengths, it's supposed to equal 60. 3 plus 3 plus 1 plus 1 is 8. If you divide both sides by 8, you get 7.5 is the width, 7.5 centimeters, which makes the length 3 times that, which is 22.5. So the width 7.5, length 22.5. The question is, what is the area? Area of a rectangle is length times width. So that is 22.5 times 7.5, which is 168.75 square centimeters. It's the area. In the standard XY coordinate plane, what are the coordinates of the midpoint of a line segment that has these endpoints? This is simple. It's the midpoint formula, which you average your x values followed by averaging your y values. We have xy, xy. X values are -5 and 3. Y values are 2 and 4. Negative 5 plus 3 is negative 2. 2 plus 4 is 6. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Coordinates of the midpoint are negative 1, 3. Points A, B, C, and D are on a line. I'm going to put them on a segment. Well, I'll put them on a line. Such that B is between A and C. So let's say here is A and here is C. It says between them is B. Don't know where between, it's just someplace between. C is between B and D. Well, here's B, here's C. For C to be between B and D, it would have to be over yonder. So B is between A and C. C is between B and D. So our points are in the right order, A, B, C, D. The distance from A to B is 12. The distance from B to C is twice the distance from A to B. Well, A to B is 12, so therefore B to C is twice that, which is 24. The distance from C to D, which is here, is twice the distance from B to C. So B to C is 24, it makes this twice that, which is 48. What is the distance, in units, from the midpoint of segment BC? Midpoint means that it cuts this in half. So like here and here, that makes each of these small parts 12 and 12. This part up here is 24. So what is the distance in units from the midpoint of BC? It's right here. To the midpoint of segment CD. So here is segment CD. Its midpoint is a point that cuts a segment into 2 equal parts. So that's the distance we're trying to find. If CD is 48 and it's cut in half, each half is 24. Using the segment addition postulate, the length of the segment from this midpoint to this midpoint is 12 plus 24, which is 36. This next problem is crazy. Which of the following statements must be true whenever n, a, b, and c are positive integers? It says n is less than a. Let me write that down. C is bigger than a. B is bigger than C. It's going to make this problem easier if I can have each of these inequality symbols in the same direction. If I change this first one so that it says A is bigger than N, it's going to make this easier. So let's start with that. Let's write this down. A is bigger than, no, let me not write that. Let me write N is less than A. This next one, it says, reading it with the C first, C is bigger than A, which I could write like this. So A is less than C, which is what this says. If you read it the opposite way, C is bigger than A. It says the same thing in a different order, means the same thing. I apologize for this problem. And then the next one says B is bigger than C, or you could say C is less than B. So we could write that like so. So looking at this, we are going from smallest to greatest as we go left to right. B is bigger than C is bigger than A is bigger than N. So which of these are true? The first one, A is less than N. Is that true down here? A is less than N? Nope, it says A is bigger than N. So the first one's not true. Second one, B minus N is greater than A minus N. If you add N to both sides of that, what you end up with is B is greater than A. Is that true here? Yes, B is greater than A. Sorry there's so much writing on this. I hate this problem. So this one's definitely true. Let's continue to make sure. B is less than N. So the next one says it's not true. B is greater than N. The next one, N plus B equals A plus C. N plus B equals A plus C. I have no idea if that's true. It could be. Put an M for maybe. might be true. And then the last one, 2 times n, if we double the smallest number, that's bigger than a plus b. No idea. Could be true, it might not be. The only one that has to be true, and it says must be true here, is b. The distribution of Jamal's high school grades by percentage of course credits is given by the circle graph below. What is Jamal's grade point average if A is worth 4 points, B is 3, and C is 2? Well, 50% of his grades are A's. A is worth 4, so you take 0.5 times 4, plus 40%, 0.40, of his grades are B's, those are worth 3's, and 10%, 0.10, are C's, those are worth 2. If you put this in your calculator, you end up with 2 plus 1.2 plus 0.2, which is 3.4. That's his GPA. What's the difference between 1.8 and 1.08? That's saying if you subtract this, what do you get? Difference means subtract. Since it says 08 repeating, it means this is 08 repeating forever. Obviously, you don't want to do this subtraction. You can use your calculator. So here's what I would type into your calculator, something crazy like this. I would type in 1.8 minus 1.08080808, a bunch of 08s. Here's what you'll find. Your calculator will give you a 0.719191919, and eventually it'll give you a 2. Because we're rounding, we can't put this whole number in. We can only put in part of it. This 2 doesn't really happen. It's really a 0.719 repeating. So the difference is 0.719 repeating. 19 is repeating, 7 isn't. Which of the following expressions, the equations represents the linear, which of the following equations, and there's no equations because it's multiple choice. So what it's really saying is, write a linear relationship between the time t and velocity v shown from the table. So basically we could say these are x values and these are y values. So we have ordered pairs, 0, 120, 1, 152, and 2, 184. In order to make an equation, a linear equation, you need a slope and a y-intercept. So you can put it in slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. In this case, y is v and x is t. So it's y times, so it's v equals m times t plus b. Well, the y-intercept or v-intercept here is already given to us. It's 120. When t is 0, v is 120. So we just need to know, it's supposed to be a capital T apparently, what m is. So to do that, use the slope formula, which is delta y over delta x. Subtract your y's over subtract your x's. Pick 2 ordered pairs, doesn't matter which ones. Subtract the y values over subtracting the x values. We get the slope of this relationship is 32. Therefore, the velocity is 32 times t. Let me write that out a little bit better. Minus 120 plus 120. This is a t, not a plus. An industrial cleaner is manufactured using only 3 ingredients, A, B, and C, which are mixed in a ratio of 2 to 3 to 5. 2 to 3 to 5. It says respectively, which means the letters go in the same order as those numbers. How many pounds of a secret ingredient B are there in a 42-pound net weight bucket of this cleaner? If you add these parts together, 2 plus 3 plus 5, you get 10. So 10 parts. A is 2/10 of that. B is 3/10 of that. C is 5/10 of that. So what this question is really asking, since we're supposed to figure this out for part B, what is 3/10 of 42? So you multiply 3/10 times 42. 3/10 is the same as 30%, or 0.3. You're going to get 12.6. And this is in pounds. 12.6 pounds. 12. If n is 5 and 81 times 3 to the m equals 4 times n, 4 to the n minus 5, then what is m? First, to find the value of m. Well, n, it says, is 5. So let's replace the n in this problem with 5. 5 minus 5 is 0. 4 to the 0, any number to the 0, is 1. Trying to get m by itself, so we divide both sides by 81. We get 3m is 1 over 81. This question that you see here, which is saying 3 to what exponent is 1 over 81, is the same thing as saying 3, well, it's not the same thing. Let me back up a second. What is 3, pardon me, different question. 3 to what exponent equals 81? Not 1 over 81, just 81. Well, it's a 4. 3 to the 4th means 3 times 3, which is 9, times 3, which is 27, times 3, which is 81. Since this is the reciprocal of 81, that means the exponent is the same exponent that would give you 81, but it's the negative. So it's negative 4. 3 to the negative 4 is 181. It may not make a lot of sense, and I don't have time to go into it deeply. But it is a fact that x to the negative 1 equals 1 over x. That's the principle that I'm using to get that. So the answer for m is negative 4.